Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing your daily Walking Dead Q&A video for today. In this one, I'm going to give our thoughts first on a recent interview with Lennie James where he says a major character is going to betray our beloved survivors. Spoiler warning as always if you're not caught up for Walking Dead. So, going in the second half, getting closer every day. We get a little bit closer, a little bit closer. It's not that far off now, and we got some topics. I got lots of stuff coming for you guys this week in terms of the video. So this one was recommended by a few of you guys, including Andy Guadalupe. Thanks again, Andy, for all your support. He sends all kinds of stuff through, and all of you guys who send through video suggestions for the channel. Absolutely love it. Link is in the description, comicbook.com, the article is from, and it is an interview with Lennie James, who confirms that a major character will betray our survivors. So I'll read it through and then we'll give our thoughts. So now Morgan Jones actor Lennie James has confirmed one of the good guys is going to go bad. And then here we get the quotes. So on one level, it's very obvious that we're getting ready for war, and everyone who knows the comic books knows that we're about to go into a couple of years of war. Is it years? I don't think it's years. It's okay. He was trained by a Ninja Turtle. I'll take his word for it. It must be years. I don't know how long that's going to pan out in the television series, but it goes on for a while in the comic. It does go on for a while. It does. That's true. I don't think it's a couple years, though. But anyway, there's a time skip. So if you want to include the time skip, I suppose. So we're about to go to war, and the second block of 8 episodes is about meeting the protagonists and certain events that are going to decide what sides people take. And it's not going to be clear. It's not going to be a clear division of labor, let me say. This is interesting. Okay, then he goes on to say, here's where things get worrisome. There are some people who go to the dark side who are going to take you by surprise. And there are some people who are going to come over to the light, and that's all a matter of perspective, James said. As with the show, nothing's going to move in a straight line, but one of the things that's inevitable is that we're heading to war. Okay, very cool. So that's pretty much it. You guys can check through yourselves and read through. So it's interesting. So he's saying that mostly, and this is good information to get, all-out war probably will just start near the end of this half. It looks like. As I've said in my kind of predictions videos and that, I think it's going to be difficult for them not to get into all-out war. I don't know how much they can fill out this half season without getting into some of the war and some of the battles back and forth. So I'm expecting to see some stuff go on. Now, it could be the last few episodes that we see the war kind of start to break out and then maybe have a big initial death in the finale. But it's also possible a lot of the events get totally pushed into Season 8 if they add in enough stuff. Based on what Lennie James is saying here, it sounds like quite a bit of stuff is going to be added in. So he's saying we have a character that's going to be betraying our survivors. Now, and some going from the dark side to the light side and vice versa. So this is interesting. Now, in terms of who could be the one to betray our group, our Rick's group, our survivors, and I guess we should just call them the survivors because it's not all Rick's group. It's the joint communities now, the survivors. In terms of who's going to betray them, there's a few characters I think it's pretty easy. If you look at Gregory from the Hilltop, he's a character that I would think definitely could portray the whole thing. And if Rick and Maggie tell him what they're going to do and that they're going to continue to fight back against the Saviors, I would think Gregory would be one that would just go to whichever side he thinks is going to win. In the comic book series, Dwight is a character also that goes to whichever side he thinks is going to win. But, based on what we see in the first half, especially the makeout scene, as I mentioned a few times, between Sherry and Negan, I almost think that right there is a turning point for Dwight. And I've seen other people in the comments also say, even people that have never read the comics, that after they saw that scene, they thought Dwight was going to turn. So that's good to know from people who don't have that information, are just going based on what they're seeing in the series with their first impressions, thinking that Dwight's gonna flip on Negan. So expect to see something like that this half. Expect to see some characters kind of turning on Negan from that side. If it's not Gregory from the survivor side, who could it be? That's really tricky. And could we see somebody who's a part of our Alexandria survivors actually turn? Like, could we see somebody who's a part of our main core group turn against the others? And I'm like trying to think, like, who would be someone that could do that? I mean, who we got? We got Sasha, definitely not. Rosita, no way. Maggie, no freaking way. Rick, no goddamn way. Daryl, no way. Carl, no freaking way. Maybe Enid? Maybe? I don't know. That's tough. We don't know I'd say she's not as much of a lock as the others that can be trusted, right? And, Aaron, Tobin, Karen, I can't see out of any of these guys, like out of any of our core survivors, who would flip on them, who would turn, and go with the saviors or give information to Negan from our Alexandria group. I can't think of anybody from, our core group there that would do that, especially after what the saviors did to them. So, this one should be really interesting to see. I'm not privy to any spoilers for this stuff, so unless it's Gregory or somebody from another community like the Hilltop, or maybe somebody from the Kingdom that we just don't know, and fear overtakes them and they somehow tell Negan or something. It could be somebody like Morgan. That's even interesting too. It's kind of funny. He's doing the interview. Imagine it was him. So I want to see your guys' comments on this one. Write your comments below. Who do you think could flip on the survivors? Who do you think could betray them? Because it's really sounding like it's going to be a big one, and maybe not just Gregory, because that would kind of be expected, sort of, because that's kind of the way he is. Like, you can't trust him anyway, so you never know what he's going to do. So with him, or maybe somebody like Ezekiel or something. Should be really interesting. So, that's pretty much. So what else does he say here? So, but one thing's inevitable, we're heading to war. So also the fact that they may not get into too much of all-out war this half. It may be mostly set up for all-out war, which is kind of cool, but it does kind of turn the whole season of Season 7 into really a drawn-out setup, for all-out war. And I think people might be pissed off if we don't get to see at least some of the action, some of all-out war in this half. Otherwise, it's like you go from the premiere of Season 7 all the way through, and the whole season is just like a really stretched out version where they don't cover as much as they usually do for a season. So I'm hoping we get to see some war, and that he's mostly talking about the first half of this 8, but sounds like he's talking about the whole thing. So we'll see. Write your comments below. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think is going to be betraying the group? Or do you think it's just going to be somebody from another community? And also, what do you think about them possibly not getting into almost any of all-out war this half? We'll do a couple more questions from you guys. Clinton Poole said in the toned down video, the violence. If you missed the video, I did a video giving my thoughts on AMC deciding to tone down the violence for Walking Dead after the backlash from the Season 1 premiere. He said, if the war is toned down too much, I'll be pissed. And then Prick Grimes responded, sorry to say, but All Out War is confirmed to have water guns and balloon knives. That's nice. I like it. So I wanted to include that. It was pretty funny. I like that one. That's good. And that's another thing, too. With war, you can't really tone down the violence of war. It's a war. It should be, I don't know, it's like it should be violent, I guess there was a couple people who aren't upset about them toning down the violence because they feel like it's violent enough, but I don't know, man. It's supposed to be that. So I guess it's all however you picture The Walking Dead. Me, I picture it in a very violent manner, and that being the world they live in. C. Gage Turner says, tone it down, what the fuck? I don't think there's enough violence, so he thinks there isn't enough. And yeah, I get what you're saying too. I get your side of it too. If you read the comics, you'll see that there's some parts there that are way more violent, like especially when, one thing I did mention in that video, when Michonne gets the governor by himself, when she goes back and she gets him, in the TV series version, it's very quick, but in the comics version, she tortures him and shit. She cuts like his arm off. She does all kinds of brutal stuff to him. She uses like a drill on him. Oh, it's bad, man. It's really bad. So, Trev, I have what I think is a very important question regarding the news of censorship. Who do you think are the people complaining to the network about the violence? The loud minority, in my opinion, who probably don't even watch the show. J-Dog. So we know Ofcom. I did a video on this back in the season when it was running, I think November. Ofcom, British, communications controlling agency or whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about, like the FCC or something, whatever. They were investigating it. So I don't know if they had contacted AMC as part of that investigation, and AMC being like, oh, what? Wait, what? And then maybe changing things a little bit after that. I'm not sure. But things like that, networks, advertisers have a huge pull. Advertisers, in the commercials and that, they're the ones who AMC makes all their money from. If they don't want to advertise on something very brutal like that, then it really can affect what AMC does. AMC may be like, oh, we dropped all these advertisers. We didn't make that much money for the episode or something, or we're going to lose some advertisers, and they may adjust it. So that could be part of it as well, too. So in that perspective, they kind of have to, because they're advertisers, the people that are in the commercials. That's like their customers, right? If they don't get those customers, if they lose those customers, then, it's bad for the show, right? It's really bad. Sarah Ray says, hey, Trev, got a question for the Q&A. Now that the show is going a more comic book route, do you think it's become too predictable? I mean, deaths used to come out of nowhere, and now we just know when someone is going to die and how they're going to die. We've been talking about how we are just so not affected by deaths, and that's the desensitized video I did. Black thumbnail with a lot of the dead characters. That's pretty cool. In the show anymore because there have been so many, but I also think it's because the show is getting too predictable. Keep up the awesome work. I want to hear your thoughts from Sarah Ray. So this will be the last one for this one. It's a good question. I do think it has become a little bit too predictable, and after seeing the last couple of seasons, I actually like what they did, closer to the maybe the third season, something like that, where it's not all that predictable. But there's other problems going on now too, like you have the spoiler issue, right, which is a big deal because then stuff gets leaked and people know about it, and it's not so easy. So there's a lot to it, but just to say, yes, I think if they move it a little bit further away from the comics, that'd be a good thing. And if they remix it even more than they have been, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. In hindsight, maybe the death of Andrea, I think it's like one of the worst things they've done in terms of adapting the series. Maybe it's not so bad though, because it really did mix it up a lot, and it really did change a lot of things in the series, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it being too close to the series is actually a bad thing and makes it boring. So good questions. Anyway, you guys can write your comments below for this one. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can also share, you can favorite. If you're new and you want to subscribe, bottom left to subscribe. Click the bell to turn on notifications, and that's it for this video today. See you guys again for another. As always, it's Trev. Stay in peace. Later, guys. See you soon. What do you want us to do? I don't know, viewer. How about a subscription? Do you think that might be in order? Or is that too much to ask?